Try this again. Well, what's going on, guys? Don't mind me. I'm just having a little bit of a conniption fit here, somewhat. Uh, Trying to work on things in my hovel, and just trying to get things sorted out. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. It's 11:40 at night. For a Sunday night on the 16th of June, 2024. And a Weaver, John C. Roseman, California. I go by a couple of things. The zombie, which is being sleep deprived and emotionally screwed up, or is that emotionally deprived and sleep screwed up? I don't know about that one. I'm still working on that. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I was perusing again YouTube, trying to see something interesting other than politics, but I kept falling back on old things that I used to watch back in the 80s and 90s. One of the shows was called Midnight Caller. God, I love that show. The music on it got my attention so much. It really did. Now, the music on it, very well. Oh, shit. Here we go again. Thing's going to drive me crazy this morning, isn't it? Yes, it is. Very jazzy piece. A very jazzy piece on this one. It's done by a gentleman named Rick Braun. The longer version of it is it's catchy enough, and portions of it they used on the TV series of Midnight Caller. This show lasted a few seasons on this one. Gary Cole played Jack Nighthawk Killian, followed by Dennis Dunn played the guy behind the machines, Billy Poe, and they kept switching off on the ladies producers back there, Wendy Kilborn and Lisa Elkbacher. This show was about, I'm just reading some stats on here. It was on NBC from October 25th, 1988 to May 10th, 1991. Even though it's been a short 3 seasons, it still sticks to a person's head, especially the theme of it. But the characters were involved they stuck with you. I mean, they really stuck with you on that one. I was trying to find the guy's name of who plays Zymek again, because there was more to it. Let's see. I was trying to find him. Why couldn't I find this stuff? Okay, that's a wick. Wick, 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 wick. Wiki. Wick, wick, wick. Wiki, where are you? Come here, Wiki. Wiki, wiki. Alrighty. Arthur Taxier played Lieutenant Zymek. Gotta love these characters, I swear. It seemed like they had the original uh, pilot online, uh, test case. But it was interesting watching this stuff. Because I'm seeing a young Jack Killian who got out of the police force and had to talk about things going on and try to help people because that was the calling instead of being the badge. And he had friends, and not so much friends, in the San Francisco police force, according to the plot line of the series. Zymek would have been one of his characters he dealt with on a constant basis. And just listening to the interactions of these guys, watching this stuff. This is back in the 80s where we didn't have all that much politics happening. We had real life things happening. Things happening to people that they would call up on a radio show in the middle of the night and say, I'm sorry, I've got an issue here. I need to get this off my chest. And he'd go at it. Gary Cole produced this characterization of a guy who actually wanted to help people a bit, talk with them about their problems. And I remember those kind of people when you're dealing with the call-in shows well before the internet. This was radio. This was not digital crap. This was analog. This was analog. And there was nothing wrong with doing analog. Hell, I got into a few radio shows myself. I think I had one torpedoed. Miscommunications, things screwed up, and I talked about this one a long time ago in one of my win files. Or maybe I did label it and I forgot what I labeled it as. But it was something of dealing in a fandom. Fandoms are pretty, well, they were pretty fickle back then and very tricky to deal with. Sometimes you'd really have the fans out there, and I think there still are out there, that would go over the board. Really go over the board. So if I would aim this one towards Mr. Gary Cole, actor, I would say, thank you. Thank you for Jack Killian. Thank you for making a mark out there on Midnight Caller. I watched shows like this. I drooled over shows like this. They were a staple. They were a staple. Like watching Hill Street Blues. That was a staple. Or the other action things that Universal actually produced. But NBC actually put this show out. And it managed to squeak out 3 seasons of it. And even though it may not have had some, rough edges on the thing, but still. How would you deal? Try this one. Try this one, guys. How would you deal with suicide? Yeah, the S word. On this one show that I actually saw on the YouTube, it dealt with a cop, and I wish I could have seen the rest of it on this one, but it just hit me that I had to do a response on this one. That an officer who was having issues, he couldn't bring out to the force, he couldn't bring him out to anybody, except maybe to a fellow cop on the air. And he had to talk about it. And the scene that I saw in this video was a cop with 2 revolvers and drug paraphernalia. And there was going to be a long story on this one, I know. I wish I could have seen the whole thing, I tell you. It would have been powerful. But just a few brief moments of this thing would set the thing up entirely. I mean, there would be something traumatic that would set the whole story up. And then it was Jack Killian trying to find out what happened. Helped the cops along with their investigations as much as he could, but he would be helping them out left and right. And then at the end, he would give out his, at the end of the show, he would give out his thoughts and opinions about it. And then he would sign off, "Good night, America, wherever you are." This was something that got my attention as a kid, as a growing young man in his 20s, just getting out in life, working his ass off. Screwed up college, so now he's got to see what the working world's like. I think, in a way, that if I had talked to Gary Cole about this, about Jack Killian's character, there could have been a lot more history I wish I could have remembered and read about how Killian was in the police department, and some things happened that made him go out to do radio talk show and give voice to those who actually need it. Wait 1 second, my dog is calling me. Give me 1 minute. Apologize for that. Well, if you guys have kept up with the Little scuttlebutt on my dog. Yeah, some days she has those kind of days where she's needy all night. It's going to be one of those nights, I think. Back to Gary Cole's character. In a way, I think I related to him in one form or format. I struggled in college myself, community college. You know, in order to get up there in ranks, I figured you got to go for the lower and then bust your ass up. Some people, actually some kids, were lucky enough to be really good students, had good memories, and really cared about that academic letter. Me, I was just doing something to satisfy Ma, but, so what the hell, I give it a shot. So I did. And I screwed it up because I didn't give it enough heart or something in it. I didn't have time, perspective, maturity, something about it. There's always a missing element in it. Kids had it. I didn't. I didn't know why. But my mom gave me two options when I got the letter of separation, academic separation from the college. Leave home or work. Say hello to a paycheck. I wasn't. I wasn't an alien to work either. I've had jobs prior to that. Small time, but at least I earned money. So go out there looking for full time work, and I worked full time. Not exactly a choice there, but it wasn't a calling either. It was survival. In another essence, if I looked at Jack Killian's character, was it a um, survival pathway for him? Not for the actor, but just for the character himself, Jack Killian. If there's things going on inside the department back then that he couldn't deal with, then maybe there was an outlet for him to deal with it by talking about it on the air in public and try to help the other people out one way or another. This is the main reasons why I like to watch the shows from time to time, because I wanted to get back into the characters to see where the hell the writers were moving the characters into. The writers were the ones who were actually motivating the characters into certain areas, but they would also have to get feedback from the actors in order to find out the motivations in the past that would drive the characters forward into whatever kind of situations they're getting themselves into. There had to be something about that. That's one thing about creative writing. I mean, we can get the general idea, but we got to find out where we're going at. We got to see what we're creating something. Okay, uh, why are we creating it? Okay, now we got to tear this thing apart. Why is this important? Why is this has to be said? What is the reason for the storyline? When you're dealing with episodics on a constant basis, you always have to keep collaborating with everybody else because you got to find out where these characters are going. And I know there were other shows that I came across that actually did take in audience participation. I know the Star Trek franchise at one time had. I think Next Generation started the thing, and then, well, actually, no, the original series started it. I mean, they gotten a few good scripts, and the scripts helped these writers along in their careers. You had already established writers, and then you had new writers coming in. So they gave everybody a chance. And Next Generation continued that. Deep Space Nine continued that. Voyager continued that. I think Enterprise did too. But everyone had a storyline to follow and a format. So probably much along the lines of Midnight Caller. There had to be a storyline on at least subplot of what was motivating the characters to go along certain pathways, what their lives were like, what the lives were going. That's why you got involved with the television in the first place. You got sucky about your own life, so you see someone else's life on screen. It's like, I wish I had that. Do you? I mean, there was a lot of things I could have gotten myself involved with as well. I mean, really lose touch of reality left and right. We see an alternate reality on the screens, and we think, "Gee, the grass is greener on the other side. Let's see what we can do about that one. Let's see if we can go to that grass which is greener on the other side." And then maybe we discovered that the grass is reflected as green because it's a different color altogether, and not very healthy, active, and definitely not for us. But it's the at our side of the screen and not on the other side that we have to thank the actors for trying to pull it together to present these characters we fell in love with. And fell in love with the interest in what they're doing. I tell you, sometimes I do wish I could go back in those times, in those days when I was watching those shows. But then again, I was living in the similar circumstances that they kept showing. I mean, I love the Midnight Caller thing. I really do. I wish we had that back again. Not the series itself, but the type. I wish this could be sent over to NBC, you know? Well, not to NBC, but to CBS, to Gary Cole and say, thank you. I may not have been one of those writers out there who could pen a script. I wasn't. I didn't think I was good enough. So I had to go through life on life's terms. I had to work my ass off at different jobs left and right. And I had to appreciate a lot of things, even though I was sucky at a lot of things. But I'm reminded of the things I came from and what I'd appreciated and what I fell in love with. The older I get, the more I keep wishing I was retrograding back in certain periods. But I can't. I wish I could, but I can't. I have to keep going forward on these things. It's a trap. Wanting to go back in time and relive the times because we had a different perspective. We had a different context. We were younger. We were more insane. Well, I think we're not seeing that much these days in our older life. Because the thing is, I'm looking at it from a kid's point of view. I'm not looking at it at a broken man point of view here. I'm not looking at it at that point. I see these shows, and look how wonderful it is. Then I hear every other Tom, Dick, and old fart Harry out there who's griping and grumbling about how they're dealing with life on life's terms, and they can't deal with it, so why are they dealing with it? They want to push back the clock. They want to go back to when it was great again. I know we're opening up that Pandora's box, but let's just keep the door closed on this one. I'm talking about I wish it was, or wish I could have been, or all that fantasy stuff we keep throwing at ourselves. I know I do it to myself all the time. But I play and run scenarios in my head all the time. What would it have been like if I was part of this storyline? What was it like if I was part of this reality here? And then play it out in my head. Play out the scenarios. Listen to the characters. Sometimes I get good storylines out of it and just write something. Other times I'm just letting it play itself out. Because I look at my reality, I look at the things around me here, and I'm thinking, holy crap, what am I doing to myself these days? So, I'm still going to post this one. I'm going to tag it up saying, thank you, Gary Cole, for Jack Killian. Thank you, Midnight Caller. I know he was an actor in the thing, but he still played a prominent role in it. He may not have created the thing, but actually it was Richard DeLillo, or DeLillo, who created the series. And This one lasted a long while. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did. So, with that being said, I probably have to crawl back in bed and sleep. Oh, good Lord, what the hell is that again? Sleep? That's alien to me sometimes.